Correcting or reapportionment? Take that.
All right.
Check 1, 2. Hey, yo, hey, hey.
At the Library of MusicLandria. I've got Christopher Kasuga here from Fake Canadian, and if you are not familiar with the Library of MusicLandria, you should come check it out. As you can see, we've got people now. They're here checking out instruments as if it was a book library, but for instruments. And it is free of charge. You just sign up for like you would in any other library, and you can play instruments, and you can take them home with you, and you can learn. So that is very fantastic, and I highly recommend coming out and checking it out. But here at the Alchemy of Artistry, I want to welcome Christopher Kasuga. I'm so happy to have you with us. You're an absolutely electric performer who happens to also be an incredible songwriter, and I'm really looking forward to getting into your musical history all the way up to the latest Fake Canadian release, Fleeting Moments. But let's start by going back to the very beginning. What were you like as a kid?
Oh, good grief. First off, hi Nine, hi MusicLandria. Glad to be here. So yeah, when I was growing up, I was a very precocious child. I, had to be like the center of attention of everything, as you can imagine. As all Asian kids had, there's usually a piano and a karaoke machine in the house, and I made very good use of both when I was growing up. I can't play the piano worth a damn these days, unfortunately. I try. I could probably like get on one and like kind of tinker around with it, but yeah, that's not exactly like what ended up being my bread and butter anyway. But I was a very like quote unquote funny kid, but I was also like really shy until like it was actually time for me to like do things. So yeah, it was a very weird mix of wanting to put myself out there a lot and then wanting to retreat just as suddenly.
So, at what point did playing like music to the point where you were writing music? When did that start coming into play?
That was definitely high school. I had sort of started at the age of 14 learning how to play guitar. It was sort of like, when I discovered rock music, because the stuff that I was listening to before wasn't exactly like something that was an example to follow. Like, my favorite band when I was in fourth grade was the Backstreet Boys. And, like, that's really cool, but also, like, that's a lot to have to learn how to dance and sing at the same time. And then also, I think the Beatles also kind of like tinged me up there a little bit. And I very much regret to say that the first band that got me into wanting to like make my own music was fucking Weezer. Jesus Christ,
I love
terrible,
Weezer.
terrible
I
fucking
love
band.
Weezer.
They've been a shitty band for far longer than they've been a good one. And I have like many friends who are also saying, no, they were never good.
I still love them. I still
Okay.
love you, Weezer.
Well, they've got you.
So when did you first write like your first song then, and what was it about? Like, what triggered your need to write that song?
Oh man. Okay. Well, most of it is most of probably what fuels that was probably bad luck with people from the opposite sex. The first song that I ever like wrote that I felt was worth a damn was, oh geez, I can't believe I'm admitting this on like publicly. It was this song that I wrote called Gene and Julie, and it was after like I had like kind of been semi dating this one girl, and I really didn't. It was one of those things where like the dog finally catches up with its tail and it doesn't know what the fuck to do. So I sort of like wrote that about like my, oh geez, if I had a guitar here I might play a little bit of it, but it's one of those things where I found like really like embarrassing, but I felt like I needed to like you know write something to get something out of my system. And I had been playing guitar for like a couple of years now, and this is sort of like where I first like, okay, well I put these parts together, oh then I put in with this, like okay, that works as a chorus I guess. Oh boy, yeah, it was best kept in the vault, I would say.
Now, is that the same type of process that you used on that song that you still use now, or have you changed up the way that you write songs now?
I don't know. I mean, it's really hard for me to think because it was so long ago. I would have been like maybe 16 or 17 when I had first written that song. Like a lot of the things that I do now is like I guess I guess I do because it started out as like this little guitar light, this little finger pick thing, and then it turned into something, and suddenly I had like music, and then I needed something to write about, so I wrote about like the closest pathos that I had to me at the time. So yeah, I think most of the time I am like sort of writing sort of music first, where it's like, okay, well I have now like developed this piece of music, I have now developed this sort of like thing that is meant to like have some kind of emotion attached to it, and then what do I want to attach to this piece of music that I feel will put that across the best.
Well, you've recently put together with your the newest Fake Canadian record, "Fleeting Moments,"
That's right.
which is available now on Bandcamp. Go buy that. Which is your first record with your new Sacramento-based bandmates.
That is correct, yeah.
How did you go about finding bandmates to put this record together?
So I touched down in Sacramento, I want to say July, and it probably would have been about a month or so later after I had like hit the open mic scene and started playing out, where okay, well it seems like people are receptive to the material. I think this is about time to start sowing the oats, so to speak. I put out an ad on Craigslist. Howie, who was the one of the first people to talk to me, like got back to me with like a story about Sloan, which is one of my favorite bands, excellent long-lived power pop band from Canada. Just released their 13th or 14th album called Steady about a week or so back. Check it out, it's good. And he and like I had put that specifically as like a band like this is what I want this to sound like, and he like came back to like a story about how he had interviewed them when he was in college radio. So it was like we met up, we started playing some material, and it turns out that he had actually that we actually had some mutual friends in common of like people who we had known, who like we had met from the internet, from forums about people who were obsessed with gear, and that and like then somehow our paths had never crossed until now, despite having like an absurd amount of mutuals. the other ingredient was a very nice kid named Jordan. He is our drummer, and he also. It took a lot longer to find a drummer. There's a couple people, maybe a couple people who had replied, and like, I won't. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all about some of the people who might have put their stuff out. But I heard from him. He seemed enthusiastic. I sent him the stuff, and I think we were rehearsing maybe about like a couple weeks later for the first time. Like it was definitely an experience because otherwise we had just like I had just like met all these people off freaking Craigslist, and somehow all the pieces came together. And we've been a unit for about over a year now, and I'm really happy with them. They're really good friends. They're really great bandmates. You're great hangs, and I think all of our personalities complement each other in a strange way. Like we're also like have like a really big age gap. So I'm probably about 34. Howie's about 10 years older than I am. Jordan's about 9 years younger than I am. So we cover a lot of range in that, so to speak.
Well, it really did come together, and it's you guys are fantastic. That whole record is fantastic.
Thank you.
I think Addlepated is currently my favorite song to hear live.
Thanks.
But another song that I really love on the record, and a song that I really want to get into tonight, is called Longing for Longing, which is this kind of epic ballad that closes out fleeting moments. Before we get into the lyrics of Longing for Longing, let's give it a listen.
Ooh. All right, let's do that. He said, let's give it a listen.
I'll start that over. There we go.
I took the car out to the shop so they could fix it up. The motor mounts were shot, the engine shaking all over the bay. I set the traps up in my room. The mice, their deaths can't come too soon. I got a new car to pay off my balance at a lower rate. I got all my ducks lined up so I can take a clear shot. I got everything I need. How do I get everything I want? Been busy feeding myself just to stay hungry all the time. Just saved up enough energy to send an SOS down the line. It wasn't like this in summers past. The portable AC is in so I can relax. The space heater's back in the attic. I'll see you some winter day. But satisfaction side effects arrive. That wistful feeling has all but died. Been unfulfilled too long. I've been so preoccupied. Can't even recall the first steps to working on what I had planned. Like falling in love for real, or playing guitar in a band. It's like trying to relearn a language after butchering it for years. All I'm left is with longing for longing. My aspirations are in arrears. hitting the street, been hitting the pubs, working on my licks and beating the tub. Lord help me, I won't back on my bullshit in the worst of all possible ways. I'm hanging on this path I try to make the most, but I can't even really seem to osmose. None of this is coming back as easy if it ever really was at all. It's only a matter of time before my fortune reverse, with fulfillment only lasts long enough for a chorus and a verse. Opportunity knocked, I should give hand, but it's slipped away. Now the sun is setting, the results are standing, but I know that they will go my way. The car broke down again into course. The mice returned in their full force. My new card is overdrawn. Meet the new boss, same as the old. Let's put this search back on the shelf. I can self-actualize but can't feed myself. A fool I was to think I was ready for something more. Can't sweat the small stuff. I've been through this cycle before. Who knows when my call-up will come again, but until then, here's the score. I'm back to the hustle. Who among us is above the grind? Going right back to longing for longing. Going right back to tempering my pride. Oh, wait, you cut out the I felt weird with that.
Oh no, let me.
Weird on that. There we go. That was definitely like an ad lib from one of the takes that like the other guys heard. Like I think was one of them ended. Yeah, that was pretty good. And then the other one was just I felt weird on that. And everyone we all fucking laughed and they were just yeah leave it in. No, put it in there. Put it in the final mix.
Well, first of all, just incredible song. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for bringing back movements into songs. I like that. Like we went on a whole journey there.
Thank you.
So let's get into the lyrics. I'll start. I'll read through them and then ask you about each section.
Oh boy. All right. Here we go.
All right. Here we go. I took the car out to the shop so they could fix it up. The motor mounts were shot. The engine shaking all over the bay. I set the traps up in my room. The mice, their deaths can't come too soon. I got a new card to pay off my balance at a lower rate. So it feels to me like you're starting up this song by letting us know that your life is in a bit of disarray, but that you're doing the things to attempt to get you back on track. The car's acting up, but you're having it repaired. You've got a mice problem, but you're setting up traps. You've got debt, but you're working on paying it off responsibly. What was going on in your life while you were writing this song that made you want to write and frame the song in this way from the outset?
Pretty much like everything that I had like written. So I wrote this song I think in 2018. And like, that summer, like, I thought things were going to start, turning around. There was some stuff that it was going to, like, the car that I was driving at the time, like the motor mounts were like fucked up and they need to get repaired. I was trying to, sort of get all of, as I say in like the verse after that, I'm trying to get, all of my ducks in a row so I can get everything taken care of. And I think, everything that was sort of like going on in my life was definitely, all of that was pretty much stuff I was actually going through. I will, append it a little bit by saying, I was living with my parents at the time, and I think I definitely had access to privilege and resources that other people, probably would not have. And if stuff like that, would have happened, like, who's to say, like, how much more survivable could it be without that? So I can't. That's something that I definitely have to, keep in mind as far as, I'm lucky. Like, I had all this shit going on, but I had a safety net of sorts. So, yeah.
I got all my ducks lined up so I can take a clear shot. I got everything I need. How do I get everything I want? Been busy feeding myself just to stay hungry all the time. Just saved up enough energy to send an SOS down the line. It wasn't like this in summers past. The portable AC is in so I can relax. The space heater's back in the attic. I'll see you some winter day. But satisfaction's side effects arrive. The wistful feelings all but died. Been unfulfilled too long. I've been so preoccupied. Now, I'm seeing here more of the idea that you're trying to get your shit together. You're kind of trying to put everything into place so that you can launch into a new phase of life. But at the same time, you've now introduced this element of dissatisfaction with where you're at. What is it that you need in life? What is it that you want out of life, Chris?
I don't know. A secure enough living that I could, put X amount of money into the money pit that I call making music on a amateur band basis, and not get wiped out by any of that. So, basic things. A roof over my head, good friends, loud music. Hopefully not tinnitus. All those sorts of things. And I feel like there's sort of like a Maslow's hierarchy thing going on where you sort of like have to take care of, your basic like human needs before, you can start to go into the actual like self-actualizations. I mean, I do pay that back a little bit later in the song, but, it's kind of like a foreshadowing of what's of things that are about to happen. Or it's the, Chekhov's sociology, so to speak.
You touched on a couple of things there that I don't know if everybody who doesn't make music realizes how costly it is to do this in an attempt to do it seriously.
Yeah.
The amount of money we lose by playing shows and making records is pretty astounding. It didn't used
This
to
shit
be
is a
this way.
hobby, and it's a hobby that I'm not really expecting any return on, so to speak. If I wanted to make money, I would have started a cover band. I would have because they make money making music, and as much as I would like to fault them for it, I can't because they're actually doing it. Is it artistically satisfying? Who cares? I don't know, because if it's something that they enjoy doing that makes them money, who am I to poo-poo on like how someone makes a living unless it's like grossly exploitative or something like that.
Yeah, I think there are people that truly enjoy it and great. Make it would not make me happy, but if it makes somebody else happy, I feel the same way. Do what you want to do. Also, like how you touched on tinnitus, because as a 40-year-old musician, woo, wear earplugs.
Take care of your ears, people.
Wear earplugs at all your shows. Trust. Wear them, especially if you have a drummer.
Oh yeah.
Can't even recall the first steps to working on what I had planned, like falling in love for real or playing guitar in a band.
1 out of 2 ain't bad.
It's like trying to relearn a language after butchering it for years. All I'm left with is longing for longing. My aspirations are in arrears. Well, you're now playing guitar in an epic rock band.
Thank you.
So I'm super happy about that. I'm very interested in this idea, which is also the title of the song, of longing for longing. It sounds to me like a kind of depression, like you want to work on building the life you want, but you're so sapped of strength and energy that you don't even have an understanding of where to start. Is depression something that you struggled with? And if so, how have you been able to utilize songwriting to help lift you into a better place?
I have to be careful about what I say here because I'm pretty sure I'm relatively neurotypical, but at the same time, I've definitely had issues with shit like, anger management and keeping my emotions in control in the past. Like that has been stuff that has definitely affected me in my life, and that's sort of like a lot of sort of the stuff that I get that I've gone through. I mean, or I probably should go back to therapy at some point. I would really like to, but well, I don't want to talk about it here.
Yeah, no problem.
Insurance, well, which I do have, but on certain uh, insurances, getting mental health stuff is, how does one say, an uphill battle if the hill was Mount Everest.
I hear you on that. It's really frustrating because even when insurance does cover it, they put you through 6 million hoops so that you get so tired that you give up and don't even try to complete the process. So
Yeah.
I hear you there. Been hitting the street, been hitting the pubs, working on my licks and beating the tubs. Lord help me, I want back on my bullshit in the worst of all possible ways. I'm hanging on the straps. I try to make the most, but I can't even really seem to osmose. None of this is coming back as easy, if it ever really was at all. It's only a matter of time before my fortunes reverse. Wish fulfillment only lasts long enough for a chorus and a verse. Opportunity knocked. I shook its hand, but it slipped away. Now the sun is setting. The results are pending, but I know they won't go my way. Now, I love that you've used the word osmose as a verb here, which I don't think I've ever heard in a song before.
I do what I can.
I also love that you fit in back on my bullshit into this verse.
it-
What does being back on your bullshit specifically mean for you?
I mean, for me, it's like, being into like a point where like I can like fully express myself, where I fully feel like, me in a social situation, where we're going back all the way to like, wanting to be sort of the quote unquote center of attention and wanting to be like, gregarious in all of my social interactions and stuff. And a lot of that was sort of, when that third verse kicks in with the loud guitars and the band actually coming in, like that's a lot of, all right, well, this is it. I'm going through it, and then everything starts to like slip away from my fingers as per the narrative of the song, where like, well, I thought I was getting somewhere, and then as things happen, they stop happening.
So when you're saying opportunity knocked, are you talking about having that attention on yourself, like in that song, or is opportunity referring to something else?
Well, it's open-ended, sort of. I'm trying to think of like what was really important about like 2018 and that time. Like I was playing lead guitar in a band, and like really doing like trying to sort of like get myself out there. I was living in Gilroy at the time, trying to do music stuff in San Jose, and it was tough to just sort of even like register on like people's radar because I lived half an hour away. I didn't really have like the opportunity to sort of be like a regular in anything, so I just couldn't break in. And it's not really anyone's fault, but but I was definitely like affected by like those circumstances where like I also at that time worked in Monterey, so that was like a good 30 to 45 minutes worth of driving to like get to anywhere that I had wanted to do anything in. So I was definitely affected by that, and definitely by the time the like winter of 2018 rolled around, when actually pretty sure it was when I wrote that song, like I had felt like all of that opportunity was sort of like had slipped me by. I was like, if everything was going dark again, as we are now in November, we're now at my least favorite time of the year. Well, favorite, but also least favorite insofar as I get a fucking 4:30 sunset. So and that is just not good for the mood. So like at that point, you start to feel everything sort of like fading away and fading down. Curtains get drawn, and like, well, I did everything that I could, and it still wasn't enough, baby.
Yeah, I hear a lot about the seasonal affective disorder.
Right.
For me, it's like once it stops being hot and it cools down, I come to life.
Right. Yeah. No, we've definitely talked about this before. Not to get all inside baseball and everything, but I have sort of feel like that, where like this past summer was just everything was hot, and I didn't want to do anything. And then as soon as the leaves start to fall from the trees, is what, oh, I'm actually writing songs again.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
The car broke down again in due course. The mice returned in their full force. My new card is overdrawn. Meet the new boss, same as the old. Let's put this search back on the shelf. I can self-actualize, but can't feed myself. A fool I was to think I was ready for something more. Can't sweat the small stuff. I've been through this cycle before. Who knows when my call up will come again? But until then, here's the score. I'm back to the hustle. Who among us is above the grind? Going right back to longing for longing. Going right back to tempering my pride. So now we've gone full circle here. You fixed the car, but it broke down again. The mice came back. The debt payment plan has not gone the way you intended.
Nope.
It sounds almost like you put in this burst of energy into getting your shit together, and after a while, it all collapsed back down to its prior state of being. What's interesting to me about this here is that although there's a lot of sadness being expressed, and the lyrics seem kind of hopeless as you are back where you started, I somehow hear like a note of hopefulness in the song when I hear it. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be there or not. I'm not sure if I'm inserting that myself as a listener or if you intended that. But to me, there's a bittersweetness to the end for me. For some
I
reason.
suppose bittersweet, I feel, makes more sense than quote unquote hope, because by the end of the song is very much it has all been beaten out of me, and yeah, it's definitely like, if there is like a tinge of hope to be said, then it must have been subconscious when I was like, writing it. I guess because it sort of like really wanted to like beat down like just how defeated I was at the end of like that entire cycle. Like, right back to the whole Maslow's hierarchy of thing. The top of the pyramid is self-actualization. And shout out to my friend Brittany Miller. I don't think she's listening to this, but like that line came from like a conversation that we're having. Like, I can self-actualize, but I can't feed myself. So that line came directly from a conversation that we had. So
You know what? I wonder if I just have like a bit of a broken emotional system in the in the sense that like I'm like, oh yeah, that's that sweet spot where you write a song though.
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
that's my thinking. I'm like, some people have been like, back in the past, I'm like gonna date somebody and they're like, oh, it's gonna end badly, and I'm like, good,
Right.
good.
Right.
Here comes an album. Let's go.
Pretty much. Yeah.
So maybe that's why I'm like hopeful. I'm like, yeah, here comes the song.
Right.
So you're here with me in Sacramento, where Fake Canada is based.
That's right.
I think the city has an amazing amount of potential, but currently I don't see a lot of audience for local shows, even though the talent level available to see is pretty immense. What do you think local artists can do to make the scene more successful here? What do you think the population can do to best support and lift up the local scene?
Jeez, I don't fucking know. God, yeah, this is a question that I am like very horribly, like, I don't know if I am just one guy, and like, it's really cool if people like come out to shows and stuff. This is one of the things where, like, back when I was living in Merced for 8 years, and I sort of like felt like the focal point of everything because I was running sound at like one of the local bars where like a lot of things were happening. So I was sort of in the center of it all, and after at some point it's like I don't want to be the famous person anymore. I just want to be a participant. I don't want to be a leader. And I think there's a funny thing. The movie The Great Escape, which is about like one of the great movies about the Allied prisoners of war fleeing this infamous German prisoner of war camp, and Steve McQueen's in it, but like Steve McQueen is all like I'll get involved, but I don't want to be the leader of this, even though he's got top fucking billing in the whole movie, and like he does all like the crazy motorcycle jumps and shit, and it's like all this point is focused on me, but I don't want to be it. And I don't know, maybe that's something that I need to change in order to actually see things happen. I've for the most part, ever since I've moved to Sacramento, it's been a really supportive scene, and I do wish more people came out to shows. And I don't know whether or not it's sort of people needing to like trying to like get the word out there, more people trying, and a willingness of an audience. This is one of these things where I would hope that the critical mass would be enough for people to come out. But cities are the same a lot of the time, where it's the way it is sometimes. It's just hard to get people out to shows, especially when people may not have heard of like the people who are performing. And I guess that's the same everywhere. I mean, if it was like a city with like a more enormous like, but like as your Chicago's, your LA's, or New York's, but even then, it's still like hard to try to get people to come out on like a Thursday night for shit. So I don't have the answer. uh, and I just you know hope that people do see like there's some incredible talent and like a lot of really cool things that are happening in this town, and I'm really glad that I chose this place to move here because I feel like this is one of the most like supportive like music scenes that I've been in and been involved with in a long time. I think part of it is my innate, how do I say, like reticence to put myself out there these days. There's a lot of me that just doesn't want to be bothered by anything. But at the same time, it's as someone who is in a band that makes a lot of fucking noise on stage. It's very much a paradox. Again, goes right back to what we were talking about. I want to put myself out there, and then I just want to go home and not talk to anyone and binge watch Netflix and like video game playthroughs for a fortnight.
Did you play Fortnite?
No.
Just the playthroughs. Well, so for you personally, what is the best way that if someone is feeling your music, what's the best way that the audience out there, the listener out there, can support you, so that you continue to feel loved and valued and energized to keep on creating and sharing music?
Great question, Nine. Well, first off, buy our shit. Go to fakecanadian.bandcamp.com is where all of the current Fake Canadian releases are. I recorded about an album and a half's worth of stuff during the 2020 pandemic. That was all me, and we do some of those songs live as well. But most of that is there, along with Fleeting Moments, this EP that we just released back in August, and past that, tell a friend if you like. I really like this very loud, discordant music with a weird guy yelling about his problems over it. Spread the word, because again, I am very, very fucking bad at self promotion. It is even when like I know that I am fully fucking 100% behind this shit, which I am because it came out really well. Shout out to our recording engineer Scott Evans. He made this shit sound poppin'. Like a couple of weeks ago, I was at Porch Fest, and like I did like a thing to like street team a little bit, where I had like download cards for the EP, and I had like a little sign that says "Ask me about Fleeting Moments by Fake Canadian." And then I realized I don't like talking to people I don't know, and then I just stood there with like people that I did know and just hung out with because I was safe. So I don't know. Listen to our stuff if you like it enough to want to buy it. Please also tell your friends about it. I don't know. That's all I got. Talk to me if you want to set up some shows. I know that we've been trying to, would like to get like something going maybe before the end of the year or really soon into the start of 23. So it's all a very big we shall see.
Well, thanks so much for sitting down with us.
You're very welcome.
Longing for Longing is a great song. I really love it. Fleeting Moments is a fantastic record.
Thanks.
And I know you've been on a songwriting tear lately, and I'm super pumped to see what the future holds for you and Fake Canadian. And to anyone out there who is in search of loud, energetic rock show, I've got news for you. Fake Canadian exists, and they do truly rock. So go check them out. And in the meantime, you can go to the Fake Canadian Bandcamp and purchase yourself a copy of Fleeting Moments, and you can learn all the songs and sing along at the show. I highly recommend. 10 out of 10. Good experience.
Hell yeah.
Well, thanks so much, and thank you again to MusicLandria for having us out here. Once again, you should come out to MusicLandria.
Thanks, buddy.
You should grab yourself an instrument, go home and learn to play it, start your own rock band. You heard how easy it is. You can just get on Craigslist, hit some people up, assemble a band. You can use instruments from right here at MusicLandria. You just check them out and learn them, and you are good to go.
You can even practice at MusicLandria too. They've got the PA system and everything. Talk to Buddy if you want to get that set up.
Talk to Buddy. Check out the website, see what there is. There's all sorts of stuff here. There's groups that meet up to talk about songwriting. There's all sorts of things. So I highly recommend coming out here and just being at the hub of Sacramento music. Now that we know the background of Longing for Longing, let's listen again, and you can hear with new ears.
I took the car out to the shop so they could fix it up. The motor mounts were shot, the engine shaking all over the bay. I set the traps up in my room. The mice, their deaths can't come too soon. I got a new car to pay off my balance at a lower rate. I got all my ducks lined up so I can take a clear shot. I got everything I need. How do I get everything I want? Been busy feeding myself just to stay hungry all the time. Just saved up enough energy to send an SOS down the line. It wasn't like this in summers past. The portable AC is in so I can relax. The space heater's back in the attic. I'll see you some winter day. But satisfaction side effects arrive. That wistful feeling has all but died. Been unfulfilled too long. I've been so preoccupied. Can't even recall the first steps to working on what I had planned. Like falling in love for real, or playing guitar in a band. It's like trying to relearn a language after butchering it for years. All I'm left is with longing for longing. My aspirations are in arrears. Been hitting the street, been hitting the pubs, working on my licks and beating the tub. Lord help me, I won't back on my bullshit in the worst of all possible ways. I'm hanging on this craft, I try to make the most, but I can't even really seem to osmose. None of this is coming back as easy as it ever really was at all. It's only a matter of time before my fortune reverse with fulfillment only lasts long enough for a chorus and a verse. Opportunity knocked, I shook his hand, but it slipped away. Now the sun is setting, the results are pending, but I know that they will go my way. The car broke down again in due course. The mice returned in their full force. My new card is overdrawn. Meet the new boss, same as the old. Let's put this search back on the shelf. I can self-actualize but can't feed myself. A fool I was to think I was ready for something more. Can't sweat the small stuff. I've been through this cycle before. Who knows when my call-up will come again, but until then, here's the score. I'm back to the hustle. Who among us is above the grind? Going right back to longing for longing. Going right back to tempering my pride.